Welcome to Well Body. I'm Renee, your host, and this is the podcast for everything your body needs as a woman to become healthier and fitter effortlessly. Here, we're all about feeling energized, beautiful, strong, and going from zero to thriving. Let's ditch the Fitspo diet culture once and for all and start living your best life with methods that actually make real lasting changes. It's time to embrace the journey to a well body holistically. Let's dive in together. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Well Body podcast, where we dive into health, fitness, and how to live your most energized life. I'm your host Renee, and today we're going to talk about something that I know will resonate with so many women out there, and that is cycle syncing. If you've ever noticed your energy, mood, or even your workouts change throughout the month, well, that's just your menstrual cycle doing its thing. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly how you can start cycle syncing your workouts, your nutrition, and your lifestyle with each phase of your cycle to feel more balanced, empowered, and in tune with your body. Cycle syncing is essentially learning to live in harmony with your menstrual cycle. Instead of just pushing through the same workout routine, the same eating plan, and the same schedule all month long, cycle syncing can actually help you to adapt to your life based on your hormonal changes that are naturally happening in your body. This is about understanding the 4 phases of your cycle and how they affect you physically and mentally, and making small but meaningful adjustments to your workouts, food choices, and even your day-to-day activities. And how when you start doing this and you start cycle syncing, you can notice an actual improvement in your energy, your workouts feel better, you feel more productive, and you're not constantly feeling like you're fighting against your body or not feeling good enough within your body. Okay, so let's break it down into the 4 phases. We're going to start with the menstrual phase. This is the phase that I like to call winter, and we're going to start with this phase because this is obviously the very beginning of your cycle. So the menstrual phase, this is where you have your bleed, and this is the time when your body is shedding its uterine lining. So think of this as the winter of your cycle because your hormones are at their lowest and your energy might also feel the same. So during this time, it's important that you honor your body's need for rest if you are feeling like you need to. Instead of pushing yourself through intense workouts and not feeling good enough because you didn't complete them, opt for more gentle movements like walking, stretching, yoga, and just really focus on yourself, focus on recovery, focus on self-care. Now, that's not to say that you can't push yourself during your period. Like if you're feeling as though you can because you've got this burst of energy all of a sudden, then listen to that and go with that. However, if you actually feel as though you just cannot push yourself, which is very normal because your hormones are at their lowest point, then don't. Honor that and just do some gentle movement instead. And when it comes to your nutrition, we want to focus on warmth, comfort, lots of warm, comforting foods like slow cooked meals, stews, like slow roasts, just things that make you feel warm. And your body also loses a lot of iron during this phase, so it's really important that with these types of foods, you are focusing on iron-rich foods to support the blood loss. Things like red meat are a great thing to include. Lentils if you're vegetarian. Spinach is also high in iron as well. But you'll want to eat foods that help to replenish and support your body through this lower energy time. And once you've finished with menstruation, and this is different for every person, everyone's different. Some people it lasts 4 days, 5 days, up to 7 days. So once you've finished with the menstruation phase, you then move into your follicular phase. Now this is the phase that I like to call spring. And this is the phase where you've just finished your bleed and your body is now preparing for ovulation. So because of this, your estrogen levels start to rise, and you'll notice in this phase that your energy starts to increase. And this is the time where your body is pretty much at its best to take on more challenging tasks, more challenging workouts. So this is the phase where your body will love a high intensity workout. It'll love a high strength session. It'll love something new, trying something new like running, if that's something you've wanted to, take up. And I know a lot of people this year have been all about their hot girl runs. And so if that's something that you're wanting to do, then do it after your bleed. Follicular phase is the time to start a new challenge. Okay, so aligning yourself with starting new challenges around your follicular phase rather than next Monday is probably the more appropriate route to take if you want to take on a new challenge. And I know there's a lot of challenges on, especially around the time that I'm recording this podcast. We're in spring right now, and this is the time when people like to jump on those 8-week weight loss challenges at the gym. If you're going to do something like that, always obviously proceed with caution, but I encourage you to start in follicular phase after menstruation and not the Monday of the date that the gym challenge is telling you need to start. And that's just because your body's more likely to align with that. Your mental side of things as well, you're going to feel as though you can probably cope a lot more with starting a challenge. So that's just a little bit of food for thought for you there. Now, during this phase, as I mentioned, your strength training, high intensity interval training, trying something new in the gym, this is because your muscles will actually recover faster in this phase. So this is why it's so good to push yourself more. And if you're following a strength training program, this is where I would encourage you to start increasing your loads and pushing yourself to figure out how heavy you can lift and pushing yourself to do the less reps, higher weight kind of strength training workouts. Now, in terms of nutrition, think about fresh, light foods such as salads with lots of different varieties of vegetables, really fiber-rich vegetables as well to support gut health, and leaner sources of protein to help with muscle repair. And this is also a great time for you to experiment with new recipes or foods, since you might be feeling a bit more adventurous during this phase too. Your mind and everything starts to expand a little bit, so that you might be feeling a bit more creative. This is obviously, as I mentioned, your time to do all that. So once you've moved through your follicular phase, preparing your body for ovulation, the next phase is going to be, well, ovulation, which I like to call the summer phase. Now, this is the phase of your cycle where your energy levels peak and they are at their absolute best. And this is because your estrogen levels are at their highest. So you may start to feel your most vibrant, confident, and even social. The ovulation phase is the best time for you to say yes to social events, for you to catch up with friends, for you to network, for you to take on tasks that involve people, because your hormones are aligning with that more so in this phase. Now, in terms of your fitness, this is where you're going to be feeling your strongest, even more capable and stronger than you were in your follicular phase. So you can go all out in your workouts, doing things like increasing your loads more if you can, and more intense cardio, even competitive sports. This is the time for high energy activities. Now, in regards to your nutrition, we want to stick to anti-inflammatory foods like berries, fish, leafy greens, cutting gluten if we can, because this is where you'll want to fuel your body with lighter meals, healthy fats, and also making sure we are hydrating our body and supporting our hormonal peak. Okay, so we want to reduce the inflammation that could occur in our body by having anti-inflammatory foods. As I said, this is going to support your hormonal peak where you're at, as well as helping your body to recover from the intense exercise and things you'll be able to push through. Okay, now once we've reached this ovulation phase where our energy levels are high, we're feeling like we can take on the world, we can do anything, we're going to start to notice these energy levels decline as we come into our luteal phase. This is the autumn phase. Now, after ovulation, your progesterone levels rise and your energy might start to dip. Now, this might not happen straight away. This might not happen right at the beginning of your luteal phase, but it's probably going to start happening in the more towards the end of your luteal phase, which I like to call late autumn. Because sometimes during luteal phase, and this is for me personally, I have these surges of energy where I'm lifting heavy loads. Like my last cycle, I was in the gym with my sister and I did a 100-kilo deadlift and I was just about to get my period. The next day I actually got my period. So sometimes you get these random peaks in energy. So I don't want you to think that just because you're in luteal phase doesn't mean you can continue strength training, doesn't mean you can continue trying to push yourself. Just make sure you're listening to your body and you're honoring what you genuinely need. And for me in that moment, for example, I genuinely could lift those heavy loads and I felt as though I could really push myself. Sometimes I feel as though I could run during that phase, and then other months I don't. So it really depends on how your cycle has been going for you before you do get your next bleed. And that can be a reflection on the nutrition that you were consuming. It could be a reflection on your hydration. It can be a reflection on your sleep as well. But personally for me, I felt bloody awesome, and that's why I was able to lift so heavy. But come this phase, I'm now in my follicular phase. I don't even feel like I could have lifted that 100 kilo deadlift like I lifted just before I got my period. So, I keep a record of all these things so I personally know where I'm at, and I personally know what I can do and what I sometimes can do. And it's just a really interesting thing to track. And I find every cycle is so different. And this I haven't done the research on this, but this could also be because of the cycle of the moon, like we're just hitting a full moon, and my sleep's been pretty rubbish this week, and I've been taking lots of magnesium to help me go to sleep at night. So, which for me is not normal in my follicular phase. So just because I'm giving you this information around how you can structure things, it doesn't mean it's gospel. It doesn't mean you have to take it as like, this is what I have to do, this is how it has to be. This is just advice on things you can be mindful of, and just use this as a bit of a guide to help you understand your biology a little bit more and understand how your body functions a little bit more, so you take the pressure off yourself and you stop, giving yourself so much shit just because you couldn't do a workout one day. But if you understand where you're at in your cycle, or you know that you haven't drunk much water, or you know that your nutrition hasn't been what it needs to be, it can be a reflection of those things, but it can also be a reflection on our hormones as well. So going back to the luteal phase, this is obviously where you will experience, not everyone though, but most of the times we will experience some kind of PMS symptoms because your body is preparing for menstruation again. Now this can be period pains, this can be sore breasts, this could be hunger, this could be in heightened senses, this could be headaches. There's a lot of different PMS symptoms that your body may feel. Now, we obviously don't want to be feeling rubbish the whole entire luteal phase, and a way for you to feel better within your luteal phase is to make sure that you are listening to your body in regards to the workouts that you could do. Maybe you're bringing the intensity down to more moderate intensity workouts. As you get closer to your period in the late luteal phase, you might ease into lighter movements, maybe even some yoga, walking, or you might do more Pilates that week. Now, in terms of nutrition, to help support this phase, to help you to be able to continue to move, we want to focus on magnesium-rich foods. Think dark chocolate, almonds. These things can really help with PMS symptoms as well, helping to lower the inflammation. And think of real nutrient-dense meals like sweet potatoes, quinoa, lean proteins, lots of different types of vegetables. You want to get as much micronutrients into your food as you can to support your body as you are going through this change and getting your body prepared for its next menstruation. So by just understanding how your phases work and understanding how you can start cycle syncing your workouts and your nutrition just to help your body a little bit more and understand your natural biology, you can actually you just feel more empowered. And I feel as though you find it easier to set boundaries, you're not as hard on yourself, it improves your mental health because you're not fighting against your body's natural rhythms and needs, you're genuinely listening to what it needs. So why does the cycle syncing that I'm talking about at the moment make such a difference? Well, like I said, it's all about working with your body instead of against it. When you push through a high intensity workout or you stick to a rigid schedule without honoring how your body changes, you're more likely to feel burned out, frustrated. You can even get injured because you're just trying to push yourself through something that you genuinely can't on that day. So cycle syncing will help you to find balance. It's going to help to improve your mental clarity and just work with the natural ebb and flow of your body's needs. And by aligning your workouts with high and low energy phases, you're less likely to experience overtraining, you're less likely to experience fatigue constantly, and you're actually more likely to stay on track because you're honoring what your body needs. And in terms of nutrition, you can support your hormonal balance and reduce PMS symptoms by ensuring you're getting enough protein, you're prioritizing lots of good fats. Think coconut oil, think olive oil, think avocados, think walnuts, think fatty fish like salmon, trout, all those fish that have sardines, that's another one, all those fish types that are real high in good fats, because you're going to be giving your body a good amount of omega-3 fatty acids by eating them. So making sure you're getting enough macronutrients, micronutrients, because this is going to massively impact how you feel within your cycle as well. If you're not getting enough protein, if you're eating way too many processed foods, if you're drinking way too much alcohol, you're probably going to have a really rough luteal phase. You're probably going to have a really rough menstruation, if I'm honest. And if you're not moving enough during follicular phase and ovulation, again, you're probably just going to feel low in energy and lethargic consistently, which means you're going to feel burnt out, which means you're going to feel low in energy, you're going to feel fatigued. So it's really important that we do start acknowledging the things that we need to be doing for our body, aligned with our natural biology as women, but also just so that we can thrive better and we can actually have a life that feels energized and we feel as though we're thriving and we're not just the walking dead surviving, which is what, if I'm honest, a lot of people feel at this stage and at the moment. So if you can start adjusting your lifestyle, like resting more during menstruation, taking a day off work if you genuinely feel you need to rather than pushing through, taking on big projects during ovulation because you can actually optimize your productivity and enhance your overall well-being. So here's how you can start cycle syncing your life. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one go. We know that trying to change everything in 1 week and having that all or nothing approach doesn't work, and we need to make sure we're taking things nice and slow and we're just making small changes as we can. Here's what I recommend you do to start small. The first and foremost, most important thing is to start tracking your cycle. So you can start tracking your cycle using an app. You could, if you have an Apple phone, for example, you can use iHealth. That's something I use. It's free, it's easy, it's basic, it doesn't have too much information on it. I use that to track my cycle so I know when I am in each phase. This is going to give you a clear picture of your natural rhythm and just also understand where you're at in each phase, and you can kind of connect the dots with the information you've learned through this podcast and other resources about where you're at and what you need to do. Now, the next thing you need to do, number 2, is adjust your workouts. So begin by tweaking your workout routine based on where you're at in your cycle. So maybe swap your usual high intensity workout that you do, let's say on a Wednesday and a Friday during your period, for a yoga session and a walk instead. Okay, and then you go back to that high intensity workout that you've got in your program at the following week when you're in your follicular phase. One thing I really want all women to make sure they do not do is completely disregard strength training. Strength training is one of the most important things that you need to be doing to support your hormonal health throughout your entire cycle. But what I do recommend you do in the regard of cycle syncing your life is making sure that you're aligning those workouts to your energy at the time. So as I said before, during luteal phase last cycle for me, I did a 100-kilo deadlift. Don't know where that power came from, but it was there and I used it. And I listened to my body and I was like, I can actually do this, and I did. However, there has been other times in my luteal phase where I've just, instead of going really heavy, I've just kept a nice moderate weight and increased my reps. So just adjust your strength training based on your energy levels, but do not give up on strength training altogether. Because I would hate for you to feel as though that, receiving this information, 2 weeks out of every cycle, you don't strength train. And if you add those 2 weeks up where you're not strength training each cycle over the course of your female life, that's taking away valuable time that you could be working on your muscular system, which then affects your skeletal system. And this is going to help with your immunity, your bone health, your limit your risk of disease and cancers and things like that. So we don't want to be giving up on strength training certain times of our cycle. We still need to be doing it. We just need to adjust our intensity as our energy and what our body tells us it needs to do. Okay, so I just wanted to make that clear in regards to the workouts. Now, number 3, nourishing your body. So just experiment with different foods during each phase. Listen to your body's cravings. Often they're telling you what nutrients you actually need. If you get that craving for chocolate when you're due for your period, it's probably a sign you need some magnesium. So opt for a dark chocolate that is at least 80% cacao, okay? And have some dark chocolate. you know how you get those like sugar cravings and you just feel like a cinnamon scroll or a donut or just something really sugary. Like, I genuinely feel as though if you had a couple of pieces of dark chocolate, paired that with some almond butter and a little bit of Greek yogurt, you'd feel fine. Drink some more water. You probably wouldn't even think about it anymore. However, you know, as we're all about building a good relationship with food too, if you genuinely still are thinking of that donut or that cinnamon scroll, then honor the craving and remember sometimes food is soul food and that's just what we want in the time, and that's okay. We want to be 90-10, 90% on point with our nutrition, 90% on point with our exercise regime, and then having that leniency 10% of the time. I used to say 80-20, but I say 90-10 now because I feel as though 80-20 gives us a little bit too much leniency to the point where we go overboard and find ourselves going off track often. So if we can make it more 90-10, we're more likely to stay on track with our health and well-being goals. And remember, these are goals. If you're setting health and well-being goals, it's obviously something you genuinely want. It's obviously something that is aligning with your values and something you need. So make sure you are honoring what you need to be doing by doing the things you need to do. And you're better likely to see results if you are focusing on a 90-10% approach to your balance, okay? Now, once we have focused on how we can start incorporating more hormonal supportive foods, now we need to look at number 4, which is being flexible. So taking this information that you've received and just going, how can I use this as a guide and implement it into my life that's going to work for me? Okay, so cycle syncing isn't about perfection. It's just about adapting and adapting to your body's needs, and that is going to look different for everyone. The goal here is just to feel more aligned with your natural cycle and not to stress about trying to get everything perfect and everything right. Because I don't want you to start falling into the same I'll start again Monday trap, but I'll start again next cycle trap. It's just about doing what you can to make these little changes that help you to feel more in tune with your body and more aligned with your natural biology. I honestly do believe that cycle syncing is an amazing tool for women to genuinely harness their power and the power of their menstrual cycle. I want you to feel empowered by your menstrual cycle. I don't want you to feel disempowered or embarrassed or any shame or guilt around it. I want you to be empowered by it. I want you to be honest about it. I want you to talk more about it, because when we do, we're creating more awareness around how a woman's body's, minds, everything physically works. And by syncing your workouts, your nutrition, and your lifestyle with each phase, you're actually going to optimize your energy. You're going to optimize your mood, and you're going to have better overall health because of it. So just remember, it's a gradual process. So make sure you take your time and listen to your body along the way. Okay? So I hope you found this episode helpful. Be sure to subscribe to the Well Body podcast and share it with any friends who you think might benefit from learning about cycle syncing. And as always, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I'd love to hear your thoughts or answer any questions that you have on this topic. But until next time, I look forward to having you in my next podcast. Don't forget to just make gradual changes. It's a gradual process. Let's not rush it. Just take little nuggets from this podcast that are going to help you in some way. We don't have to implement it all tomorrow. It's just about doing things as you can and gradually building up to making your life more aligned with your cycle.